All right, let's get right into it. So, welcome everyone. I'm very excited to have you all with me today, virtually, of course. So today we're just going to speak a little bit on motivation, the art of motivation. And before we start, I'll just like maybe just a few housekeeping rules as always. Let's keep our mics muted. Unless you do have something to say, then of course do unmute yourself and just say anything that you can say, right? Our videos off as well. And also, if you do have something to say or an answer to give to a question, you can just type in the comment section. That's if you don't want to unmute yourself, right? So today's session is on the art of motivation, and I would just like to ensure everyone that there is no special fixed one way for motivation. So we do have a variety of factors, strategies, interventions that we can use to motivate employees within the workplace, right? Okay, so let's get right into it. So before we start, of course, there should always be a why. Why should you motivate your employees? Or why should you be a motivated employee within your workplace? Okay, so again, people are not machines, humans are not robots. So think of your employees as people and not machines, right? So they do things based on how they feel and what motivates them. Not people don't just do work following a set of program, right? So people do work based on what drives them, what energizes them, how they feel, right? So when your employees feel excited and motivated about their work, they actually do a better job compared to when they are not motivated at all. So they focus more on their work and they get more done. It also depends, right? So even within ourselves, we need something that energizes us. We need something that drives us to actually do what we're supposed to be doing at work. Okay, so motivation also boosts employees confidence and how they feel about themselves. So when they see their work making a difference, it makes them feel proud. So if you see that your work is actually making a difference, not only it can be in your team, it can be in the entire organization, it can be in society, you might actually feel proud, and that is something that might actually be motivating you. Okay, so motivation also help you become better at what you do, right? It pushes you to improve and reach your full potential, right? You need something that drives you, you need something that pushes you to reach your objectives, okay? So when employees are motivated, or when you're motivated, um, you also tend to work together with your team members, right? You guys can easily come up with new ideas. You help your company reach its goals and be more successful. So motivation has a lot to do with employee engagement. It has a lot to do with job satisfaction. It has a lot to do with you wanting to actually go to work for that particular day, right? So now that we've looked at why should you motivate your employees, or why should you be motivated, what is motivation? Okay, what exactly is motivation? So we've spoken a lot about motivation. If you were in the last session, which was about winners in the workplace, we've spoken a lot about what motivation is, and we've defined it as the internal and external factors that drive individuals to take action, sustain their efforts, and achieve specific goals. So again, motivation can be internal, it can also be external, right? So internal in the way that so um so at times there are tasks that you do because you actually want to do them, right? And you feel a sense of achievement after doing them, and you feel competent by doing them. So that is more of internal motivation. Then external motivation, I mean, at times you're just given things to do or tasks to do, and you're just doing that because someone asked you to do it, or you're being rewarded for doing that. That is kind of more of the external motivation, the reward that you get for actually doing that job, right? So motivation is the energy that pushes people to overcome challenges and stay committed to their objectives, even in the face of obstacles and challenges. So we all know within our working environments, within our workspaces, we do experience a lot of challenges. We do experience a lot of obstacles, but then the one thing that actually pushes us to overcome those challenges and obstacles is what then we call that energy or that motivation, right? So you need something that actually motivates you to overcome those challenges, right? So motivation in the workplace involves questions like what energizes human behavior, right? What energizes your behavior? What directs your behavior within the workplace, okay? And how do we actually maintain this energy, and how do we actually sustain this motivation? So those are just some of the questions that you can ask yourself if you're trying to figure out what actually motivates you, okay? So I would just like to know if everyone is still there, if you guys can all hear me still, and I'm not just talking to myself.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, awesome. So now we are going to move on to the three dimensions. And what I mean by the three dimensions is, so there, according to some research that I did, according to Lundberg and Peterson in 1994, so they say that there are factors or there are three dimensions, right? Which kind of, how should I put it? So there are factors. Sorry. So people put personal meaning to their work, right? If that makes sense. So personal meaning of work can be understood in terms of three dimensions, according to now these two authors, right? And they've referred to these three dimensions as work centrality, social norms, and valued work goals, right? So work centrality actually relates to how important a person's work is in his or her life. So meaning that a high degree of work centrality implies that the person attaches like a greater importance to his or her job than to one or more other factors in his or her life. So remember the session that we had on anyone that was in the session on winners in the workplace, we spoke about the wheel of wellness, right? And I've mentioned that you do have like a variety or different dimensions in your life. It can be your physical and mental health, it can be your intellectual life, it can be your financial, it can be your social, right? So depending on those factors, sometimes when you score really high on, you can score really high on one of those factors, right? So when it comes to work centrality, you might score very high on your work because you actually put like very important work is a very important aspect in your life, which might even be higher than most of the other dimensions within your life, okay? And then we have social norms. So social norms relate to social rights and responsibility now in the context of one's work. For example, right, people may consider their work to be meaningful because they feel they contribute to society through their jobs. So sometimes you feel like the job, the type of work that you do, or the job that you do actually has a greater contribution to society, and that feeling that you get from that is actually your motivation to actually keep on doing your work, okay? And then we have valued work goals. So this one relates to what one wishes to achieve through one's work, okay? So remember, one person may want to be, for instance, wealthy, right, through their job. One person, another person might want to be famous, for instance. Another person just wants to pay their bills, right? So according to this just relates to what one wishes to achieve through one's work, okay? So let's quickly look at a few scenarios, right? Okay, so the first scenario being, okay, so this in the picture there, that is Grace, right? So Grace is a long-time employee at your company, right? And she has recently been showing signs of lacking motivation, right? So she used to be a top performer, but her productivity has declined, and she often seemed disengaged during team meetings. Now, my question to everyone is, what do you think is going on with Grace? Because remember, she's a long-time employee in your company, and she used to be a high-performing employee, but all of a sudden she's showing signs of a lack of motivation. Her productivity has gone really down, and she's now really disengaged. What do you think is going on with Grace? What do you guys think is going on with Grace? Or what do you think are some of the things that you can do to actually help Grace? So you can just unmute yourself if you have something to say about Grace, or just write in the comment section. So I just want us to have a little discussion on her. So remember, she is in your company. Let's say you are the wellness practitioner, you are the HR manager, or you just have manager, right? And all of a sudden, this used to be one of the best performing employees, but then all of a sudden her productivity has gone down, and she's just lacking motivation. Okay, so let me just go to the comment section. So Bianca says, could be a lot, might be there's some private issues problem. True, that's very true. It could be some private issues. It could be that she has some personal problems that she might be facing, okay? Lady also mentions that might be that her work has become boring and she has been doing the same work over and over. Yes, so sometimes it could be that she's doing like repetitive work and her work is no longer challenging. So, I mean, when it comes to repetitive work, it lasts for about a year or so, and then from there you kind of feel it like that you don't actually do any challenging work. You don't actually do what you feel that, or the value that you feel you can actually bring to the organization, right? Tina Lau is saying that take her out of the environment for a coffee and have a conversation with her about how she's doing. If she's reluctant to share, start with sharing your own story, which is true. Like, I mean, the first step to this definitely should be having a conversation with her, just trying to find the underlying root of what actually is going on, because sometimes you might think it has to do with A, B, C, and D, right? But then actually it's not. So you actually have to find out what exactly is going on before you even start with your interventions, or before you even start with trying to find solutions for her, okay? Gertrude mentions that can be that there is no promotion over the years. Definitely true. So if you're in an organization for so long and you just don't get a promotion at all, even after working very hard, I mean, your motivation, your morale, motivation levels goes really down, which is very true. Australia mentions that could be that she feels underappreciated. I mean, all of it can be any one of these, right? It can really be any one of these. So as a manager, as an HR person, as a wellness practitioner, really, you need now to find the root cause. You need to sit down with Grace and try to figure out what is going on with her, right? So obviously the first step is discussing a concerns openly, right? So it's also essential for you as the manager to also inquire about her well-being. So it might also be something to do with her well-being, exactly like someone mentioned, can be personal issues affecting her performance. It can really be anything, right? So once you figure out what it is, that's when you start now with your intervention. Can be creating a flexible work schedule, um, depending now if you found out that she might not be balancing her work and life very well, or her personal life very well, or providing opportunities for career development, like Katrina mentions that it may be because of promotion or any other factor, right? Also offering wellness programs, because you don't know what is happening. It can be burnout, it can be stress, it can really be anything, right? So obviously the first step is figuring out what is happening, coming up with your interventions, this which can actually try to help improve her motivation and absenteeism. So there should be, like I said, it's very difficult to use like a one fix it all type of intervention for motivation, because for everyone they're motivated by a variety of different factors, right? So let's look at our second guy. So this is Mark, right? So Mark has a range of skills and talents that are not being fully utilized, right, in his current role, okay? And this is now leading to a lack of motivation and job satisfaction. And if I ask the question, what is happening with Mark, we all know that obviously what is happening is that he feel there's no challenge for him. His skills and talents are obviously not being utilized in his current role, and he feels like he believes that he needs more than this, right? Exactly. Can be the work is repetitive. I mean, we all have different skills. We've worked over years, and we have different skills. We've acquired skills and experience throughout the years. You have different qualifications, and sometimes if you do get a job that's actually not bringing out this in you, you might actually also feel demotivated. Okay, so it also has a lot to do when we do our recruitments. That's when we sometimes when we hire people that are overly qualified for the role, this might actually also happen. Okay, so I mean, some of the things that we can do is conduct a skill assessment to identify Matt's strengths or his talents, and also just try to fully identify what are his skills that are not fully tapped in his current role, right? So we can also do like something that we call role redefinition. So work with Mark to redefine his role and responsibilities, right? Put in some tasks that align with his skills and passions. This can also bring up a bit of his motivation. Do some PTPs. This can be professional. This is the professional development plan, right? Recognition. So recognize Mark's contributions and achievements publicly within the team, and also the organization, to just boost a bit of his confidence, and also establish open feedback, right? Just have that thing of where people can come to you and say out their concerns, right? Okay, so let's quickly look at our last guy, and his name is Harasep, right? So Harasep is a dedicated project manager in your company, and he has been working long hours for months to meet tight deadlines, right? So recently he's been visibly burnt out, and his work quality is suffering. He seems emotionally drained and disinterested in his job. So you have this person in your company, a very dedicated employee, and all of a sudden this is happening. What do you think, or what do you think should be done for Harasek? Perhaps just in the comment section, what do you think we should do for Harasep? Because he's one of our top project managers and he works really hard, right? So what do you think we should do for him? Okay, let me quickly go to my comments. Okay, so Bianca mentions that we should get some assistance. Definitely, the workload might be too much for Harasep, and he might not actually be able to balance between his personal life and work life, and then the work might be taking up most of his time, right? So definitely we should get him assistance, someone to work besides him or under him to get a few of the other things done, delegate tasks. That's true. So we might also be able to delegate some of the work to the other team members. Okay, more help from the other team members, take some leave, which is true. Like, let's get him more help. Let's give him time off to just recuperate, right? And also allow him to for knowledge sharing, obviously. So allow him to actually lead some people and share his knowledge so that they can also do some of the work that he does, right? So of course, again, let's have an open conversation with him, right? So initiate a conversation with Harasep to explain your concerns, right? So just be empathetic and understanding and begin with a question like, Harasep, I've noticed that you've been under a lot of pressure lately. How are you feeling about your work and well-being? From there, you can kind of get like the whole feel of what exactly is going on with him, right? So as a manager, also acknowledge burnout, right? Validate his feelings and acknowledge that burnout is a real concern, and also work on reducing that burnout, okay? And by doing that, of course, is to delegate some tasks, get him some assistance, get some other team members to help, encourage him to take some leave days, right? Encourage him to take some time off, okay? So also wellness initiatives, right? Promote wellness initiative within your workplace, such as stress management workshops, employee assistance programs. This is where people can learn how to balance work and their personal lives, and also do regular check-ins, schedule regular check-in meetings to monitor Harasep's progress and emotional well-being, okay? So these are just a few scenarios that we do have like a lot of scenarios within our working environments, and sometimes we just don't necessarily know what happened to this person. This used to be our top performer, and then this, right? So also later you'll see, I'm going to speak about the players, the type of people within our working space, and you will see that some people are player A, some people are player B, some people are player C, and you'll be able to understand how we can keep our players motivated. But before we get to that, let's quickly look at some of the reasons for employee demotivation. Okay, so those are just some of them. The first one being ignoring achievements. Before I continue, are we all together? Can everyone hear me? All right, awesome stuff. So our first reason we have a lot of reasons. We have a lot of different reasons for employee demotivation, right? But I've just mentioned a few here that we can kind of look at right now. So the first one is ignoring achievements, right? So one thing that can lead to a lack of employee motivation is the absence of praise or just a simple recognition of a job well done, right? So your top performers, if they don't receive that recognition, that motivation actually goes away, right? So it's vital that sorry, as a good team leader or as a manager, right? it's important that you understand when to recognize achievement and give praise, and importantly, how much a plan, just well done, may have significantly greater impact on one team member or the next, right? So the next one is treating everyone just the same. You know, treating everyone equally sounds great, right? But in fact, in a corporate environment, it can actually be damaging to the overall staff morale and motivation. What do I mean by this? So if your most outstanding productive employees know that they will be treated exactly the same as the least productive team member, that will so if your top performers are treated exactly like everyone else, right? So they will feel demotivated, right? Because I mean, what's the use? And even the low performers, they won't feel the incentive to actually put in more effort, because in the end, everyone is being treated the same way, right? And also no development opportunities. So if your organization doesn't have any development opportunities, no promotions, no learning opportunities, I mean, people will feel demotivated because they will feel stagnated within the same roles that they are in, right? And also poor leadership, okay? So effective leadership is an essential factor in motivation for your staff. So if a strong leadership is lacking or is negatively affecting the outlook of the team, certain employees may start to feel demoralized, right? And we all know most of the times our leaders, our managers, our supervisors have a big impact on how motivated employees are actually going to be for doing their roles, right? And then we also have unrealistic workloads, okay? So sometimes, I mean, sometimes it's very important to keep check on the expectations and demands that are being placed upon your employees, because sometimes you're giving so much work to a specific person, knowing that I mean, even if you don't know, but sometimes it's just not realistic enough for the amount of work a specific person is being given, which actually demotivates people, actually increasing high turnover, right? Okay, so let's quickly look at the players within our organization, okay? So what I mean by players is, so there are three kinds of players in the working environment. Now, I want us to look at this and also kind of identify the type of players that are in our working spaces, and also try to identify what type of player you are as well, okay? So there are three kinds of players in the working environment, right? So if you take a look at, it can be sports and also now business, you'll see that there are those super teams, but even the most successful teams also have like different players, okay? So our first player being player A, right? Those who absolutely rock at their job, those top performers. Then we have player B, those who do an okay job, okay? And player C, those who need a lot of help and guidance when it comes to their work, okay? So I want us to identify what type of players we actually are, okay? Right, let me quickly. My slide is now stuck. Sorry for that. Can you guys see my slide? It's just stuck on my side.
It's stuck on my side too.
Okay, I'm going to just stop sharing and restart again.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Yes, so sorry. So I'm just going to share my screen Now, let me know if you can see my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, and it's working.
All right. All right, that's great. All right, let's quickly look at the players. I'm just quickly going to look at them. So, like I've mentioned, A players are those who absolutely rock at their job, right? So player A is often seen as a top performer or an all-star in the workplace. They consistently deliver high-quality work and excel in their role. Player A is proactive, motivated, and is willing to take on extra responsibility, and they are team players and often inspire and motivate their colleagues, right? So player A's are focused on getting the job done, and they are completely passionate about it. They do sometimes fail, but will learn from every failure so they consistently rate like I would say an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 on the success scale, right? They don't bring any drama to work. They don't do the blaming game, no calling, no politics, right? But rather they just simply focus on one thing, okay? And which is what needs to be done and what needs to be done and to get the job done, right? So constantly this type of people, you don't find them not having any work, but you have to take them from some project that they are doing, so you constantly won't have access to these people, right? Then we have player Bs. So player Bs in your organization are those that do an okay job. You know, they put almost 50% into their work, right? So player B represent the majority of employees who perform adequately, right? They meet their basic job requirements, but may not go above and beyond. Player B may need more guidance and supervision compared to player A, and they contribute to the team, but may not stand out as an exceptional performer. So player B are those people that they put in most of the time what is expected of them, obviously, but they don't go above what is expected of them. They never carry any agency on getting something done. They will meet deadlines, but with the most minimal patience, and you will never know where their true passion lies. So they never have any focus most of the times. Okay. So most of the time they're just content. They're just really content where they are, which is now being a player B, right? They do have successes, but they also have an equal number of failures, right? And mostly reason depending on those successes that they have, okay? And then we have the C players. Now, the C players are those who need every bit of help to get things done, right? So the C players typically the newbies or the employees that are coming right out of school, right? So player C is typically an underperformer or someone who consistently falls short of expectation. This can also be due sometimes you hired a person in a role that's not fit with their skills and expectations, right? So most of the times they struggle to complete tasks on time or produce work with exceptional quality, right? Players just don't know most of the time what is going on. They may meet deadlines, but the work will always be below par. They never know where their true passion lies, so they never have any focus or drive. They mostly lost in what they are told to do. Now, the one thing about player C, they do know that they are not really performing, so they are actually willing to get help. So they are willing to actually improve. And most of the times, you may be a player, for instance, a player B at one job, but you can be a player A at the next job, right? It just depends on the type of job and how motivated you are at the job, right? And also, most of the times you can be a player C throughout the beginning of your journey, of your career journey, but you may end up as a player A. But however, if you're not really motivated as much, you may fall at being a player B, right? So back to everyone else, what type of player do you think you are within your working space? Are you player A? Are you player B? Or are you player C? Are you somewhere between being a player B going to player A? Okay, so Bianca is a player A, so I would love to know what player everyone else is. So, and I want everyone to be very honest, okay? So we have another player A, Simon is a player A. Lady is also a player A. Wow, we do have a lot of player A's. We have Festus a player A. So we do have a lot of player A's, right? But then you'll see that in your organization, you'll see that not everyone is a player A, and some people might be player B's and some people might be player C's, right? But then what can you do to actually motivate player A's to actually be player A's, and what can you do to motivate player B's and C's to actually move on to becoming player A's or something better, right? So now we are going to look at how to motivate the players within our working spaces, okay? So player A, player B, and player C. Let's start off with player A. So when it comes to player A, you need to set clear objectives, right? So a player A needs clear, measurable goals to work towards, right? So remember, these people are already strategic. So outline their roles and responsibilities and key performance indicators to help them track progress, right? So provide challenges. Again, player A's, they love challenges and they don't really like repetitive work or work that doesn't bring out their inherent competition, right? So give a player A challenging tasks or projects that tap into their competitive spirit, right? Encourage them to compete against their own performance, because sometimes they can be very competitive. So encourage them to compete against their own performance rather than against their colleagues, okay? Recognition and rewards. So recognize player A's achievements publicly and reward them for hitting their targets, okay? Encourage them to compete against their own encourage them to compete against their own performances. So rewards can actually be any incentives like bonuses, promotions, or recognition in meetings. These can all be powerful indicators to player A's, okay? Structured feedback. So they constantly want feedback to how they are doing. So regularly provide constructive feedback to help them improve, focus on how their efforts contribute to their overall team success, right? And then also, lastly, team building. So encourage collaboration by emphasizing the importance of teamwork, help them understand that success is often collective and that their competitive drive can benefit a team as a whole, okay? Then we go to player B. So player B, allow player B to have a degree of autonomy, okay? So allow them to have a bit of control over their work, give them the freedom to choose projects and methods and even work hours within reason, okay? So encourage brainstorming sessions and creative problem solving sessions, value their unique ideas and provide resources to actually explore them, right? Because sometimes when a person is more of a player B, because their work isn't as inspiring or innovative or challenging to them. So just bring in a lot of these things for them, right? And then the third one is flexibility, okay? So sometimes, most of the times, remember, player B is put in 50%, they balance it 50% work and 50% their personal life. They won't die for your organization, right? So create a flexible work environment that accommodates their need for change. Consider offering remote work at times, of hybrid work, or flexible options, right? And then we have mentorship and learning opportunities. So just provide opportunities for skills development and mentorship. So player B is motivated by personal growth and learning new things. And most of the times, if they don't get that, that's when they are demotivated, okay? And then deadlines with flexibility. So for a player B, rather don't give them the deadline as it is, give them at least 2 days before the real deadline, right? So while some structure is necessary, be a bit flexible with deadlines when possible when it comes to player Bs. Because most of the times, player Bs were player As, but because they were their work was not being valued, or they don't feel the sense of accomplishment anymore, or they just don't have that motivation anymore, they end up being player B, just putting in the bare minimum effort that they can put in. Then we do have player Cs, right? How do we motivate player Cs? Recognition of contribution, right? So even just that one win that they get, or those few wins that they get, just acknowledge those contributions that they put in, right? Which actually motivates them to do much more better, okay? And then team involvement. So involve players in team decision-making processes and encourage them to share their insights and ideas openly. So because at times players might be shy away from getting involved in decision makings, or voicing out their concerns, or asking for help. So give them that environment where they can actually be able to learn and thrive, right? Be a supportive leader, right? So be a supportive leader who values and nurtures their interpersonal strengths. Try to identify what their strengths are and recognize their role in maintaining those strengths, okay? And also peer support. So encourage your team members to support each other, because when there's that support, players will also feel the need to openly ask for help and learn much faster, because it's a supportive working environment, okay? Then we quickly go into generations, right? So how do we motivate different generations within our organizations? Because remember that we do have different generations within our working spaces. So we do have the silent, born between 1928 to 1945. We have the boomers, the baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964. Then we have the Gen X, born from 1965 to 1980. We have the millennials, born from 1981 to 1996. The Gen Zs, from 1997 to 2012. And I believe the alphas are not in the working space yet. Right. So what motivates the different generations? Okay. Perhaps before I continue, do we have any questions? Are we okay? All right. So let's continue with the generations. Now I want you to in the comment section, I want you to tell me which generation you are. Let me start off with the first generation, which is, let's just start over now. first generation within our working space right now, I'll start with the baby boomers. Do we have any baby boomers today? Born between 1946 and 1964. So do we have any baby boomers? Any baby boomers? No? We don't have any baby boomers? Oh, Lydia says she's generation Y, the millennials. Did Allah just ask if do baby boomers use Teams? Yes, I believe some of them do. I believe some of them do, but most of them don't really like this whole new technological advancement. Funny that I feel like they grew up in the industrialized era where everything was starting to develop, but yeah. Okay, let me quickly look at the baby boomers. So what motivates the baby boomers? So definitely job security for baby boomers. So baby boomers often value job stability and security. They may be motivated by the prospect of long-term employment and retirement benefits. So these are just some of the things you can look at within your organizations when you are trying to motivate baby boomers within your organizations, right? Then we have recognitions and rewards. Remember, baby boomers are one of those employees who are very loyal to organizations. Our parents or grandparents have been working for the same organization for years. They are one of the most loyal people. So it's very important that we appreciate and recognize their contribution, and they actually may be motivated if we do recognize and reward them, right? So it can be tangible rewards like promotions, bonuses, or awards, right? And also baby boomers are motivated by traditional work ethics, So baby boomers tend to have a strong work ethic and may be motivated by a sense of duty and commitment to the organization. Like I've mentioned, they are very committed to their organization. So I don't believe we have any baby boomers with us today, but if you do have baby boomers within your organization, that is just some of the things that you can look at when it comes to baby boomers. But we also look at what are some of the ways that we can actually motivate them. So those are just some of the things that motivate the baby boomers. Then we have the Generation X. So this is one of the I feel like this generation is a very quiet generation. You don't really hear anything about Generation X, right? So Generation X, born from 1965 to 1980. Do we have any Generation X in the house today? Generation X. Generation X. Do you have any Generation X? Oh, we do have. Okay, so what motivates Generation X? So what motivates Generation X is work-life balance. So Gen Xers value work-life balance and often seek jobs that allows them to fulfill family and personal responsibilities, right? So when you're coming up with your interventions to motivate Generation X, those are some of the things that you can look at. Work-life balance. What are some of the things that we can do for them to actually make sure that their work and life are actually balanced, right? Then we have career advancement, right? So they are motivated by opportunities for career growth and development. Offering them a clear path of advancement can be a strong motivator to Generation X, and also independence, right? So Gen Xers appreciate autonomy and the freedom to make decisions in their roles. Again, so those are just some of the few things that motivate the Gen X. But let's go back and ask the Gen X, what actually motivates you within your working space? Gen X, this one goes out to you. What motivates you in your working space? Just can be one or two, can really be anything. What is it that motivates you? I'm just sharing the chat with everyone so we can all see. Let's hear from the Gen X, what motivates them apart from what I've already. Appreciation and bonus, yay! Wonderful. So Gen X gets motivated not only by what I've mentioned, but definitely also being recognized, being appreciated, and bonuses. I see, Bianca, you have your hand up. Would you like to say something? Mm. No? Okay. Right. So we just looked at, all right. So we just looked at, all right, so Bianca says all is fine with Gen X. Let's quickly look at the millennials. How many millennials do we have in the house? How many millennials? Millennials, where are you? The millennials is born from 1981 or to 1996. The Gen Ys, the millennials. Do we have any millennials? Yes, we do have millennials. Oh, we do have a lot of millennials, right? That's amazing, amazing, right? So millennials, what motivates millennials? Now, according to studies and research, millennials are motivated by purpose and meaning. So millennials are often motivated by work that aligns with their personal values and a sense of purpose. They want to make a positive impact to society. Is that true for millennials? It's true for me. I'm a millennial. And then we have flexibility. So they value flexible work arrangements such as remote work options or flexible hours, definitely. And then we have personal growth, right? So millennials seek opportunities for continuous learning and skills development, and they are motivated by employers who invest in their professional growth, because they are constantly looking for organization which actually invest in our personal growth, right? So what motivates you as a millennial? Going back to all the millennials today, what motivates you in your workspace as a millennial? Let me open the chat box. Career growth, definitely. Career growth, career advancement, career opportunity, right? Dinela mentions helping people solve problems. True. We're motivated by a variety of different things and making a difference in people's lives. Definitely true, because millennials, they want purpose and meaning, and they want to make a positive impact in society and life. Of course, money too. We are all motivated by money. Let's not forget money. All right, and then we go to our young ones, the Gen Zs. So the Gen Zs, so they are now in the organizations. They are now in our working spaces. I mean, people born between 1997 to 2012. We have people as young as 2003, born in 2003, 2004, that are already into the working space, right? So then, what are some of the factors that motivates the Gen Zs, right? The young things. What are some of the factors? So when it comes to Gen Zs, they are motivated by technology and innovation, because we all know Gen Zs are literally born in technology, and that is like one of the things that motivates them, right? So Gen Zs are often motivated by workplaces that embrace innovation and provide access to latest tools and technology, right? So let's not forget that Gen Zs are also motivated by diversity and inclusion. They value diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and they are motivated by organizations that prioritize these values. And then feedback and recognition. So Gen Zs appreciate regular feedback and recognition for their work, and they often seek more immediate feedback compared to older generations, right? Okay, so just to close off, in the next 5 minutes, we're just quickly going to go through how can we actually motivate employees from different generations, right? Okay, so the baby boomers, again, if you do have a baby boomers in your organizations, recognize their experience and expertise, okay? Providing them opportunity for mentoring younger employees. So remember, they have like lots of years of experience. So provide them with that opportunity to actually mentor the young ones, okay? Offer flexible retirement options. So allow them to transition into retirement gradually, okay? So provide regular feedback and acknowledgement. So um, uh, provide feedback and acknowledgement for their contributions and for years of service, right? Acknowledge those years of service, okay? Gen X offer professional development opportunities, okay? Provide a flexible work environment for the Gen X, recognize their desire for autonomy and trust in their decision-making abilities, and encourage work-life balance and offer benefits like parental leave or wellness program and things like that. For millennials, emphasize purpose and values in the workplace. So millennials, remember, they often seek meaningful work, provide opportunities for skill development, training, and career advancement, foster a collaborative and inclusive work culture, because millennials, they value teamwork and diversity as well, just like the Gen Zs, and also offer flexibility in work hours and location to accommodate their desire for work-life balance. I mean, I feel like we are one of the generations that also love the hybrid working styles, right? Then we have our Gen Zs. So when it comes to Gen Zs, promote a tech-savvy workplace with the latest tools and technology, because that is where they are what they are motivated by. Encourage continuous learning and skills development. This can be done through online courses or on-the-job training. Recognize their desire for social responsibility, right? And also ethical business practices, and provide opportunities for creativity and innovation. As one of the studies that was done, it came up that Gen Zs tend to be entrepreneurial and very innovative compared to the previous generations. Okay, so those are just some of the things that you can do to motivate the different generations within your organization. All right, so do you guys have any questions? Just going to go back. You guys have any questions so far? Are we all good? Are we all there? You guys are so quiet. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time putting this together, and I hope, Lydia, do you have a question? I see your hand is up. Probably not. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you guys soon in our next training session. I really hope you guys have learned something today. Even just one thing, it's fine. Again, looking back at the players within your organizations, looking back at the generations, looking back at how we can personalize interventions for motivation, because it's not a one fit all. So thank you so much. Thank you. And I hope you guys have a lovely Wednesday and a great rest of the week. Thank you. And we will we'll share the link to, yes.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to ask about the link of last week. I haven't actually seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask Nicole to share it with you, with
Thank
everyone
you.
actually.
All right, cool. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.